The American education system has not changed in over 100 years, and that should terrify you. Every other industry on the planet has been completely reinvented, yet somehow we are still ringing bells and shuffling kids through hallways like it is 1924. Think about what medicine looked like a century ago, versus today, we went from leeches to laser surgery, from guesswork to genomics. But walk into most public school classrooms today, and you will find the same rows of desks, the same lecture format, and the same industrial age logic baked into every single minute of the day. The reason education has not evolved is not a mystery. It was never designed to produce free thinkers. It was designed during the Industrial Revolution to produce compliant, punctual factory workers who could follow instructions without questioning them. Here's the metaphor that hits hardest. The school bell is not a teaching tool. It is a conditioning tool. Pavlov's dogs salivated at the sound of a bell, and we packed up our backpacks at the sound of one. It does not matter if you were in the middle of the most important idea of your academic life. The cruel irony is that the very skills that build wealth, pattern recognition, risk tolerance, delayed gratification, creative problem solving, are the skills the system actively punishes. You get graded on compliance and memorization, not on curiosity or entrepreneurial instinct. Educators and economists have been sounding this alarm for decades, and yet the system remains almost perfectly preserved. Sir Ken Robinson once said, "Schools kill creativity." And that was not hyperbole. It was a data-driven observation made in front of millions of people that the world agreed with and then largely ignored. Now, there have been moments of optimism: charter schools, project-based learning, the promise of edtech, the pandemic forcing remote innovation, and yet the gravitational pull of the old model always seems to win. The system is not broken. It is working exactly as designed, which is somehow the more disturbing conclusion. Historically, every generation has believed they were on the verge of fixing education, and every generation has handed a slightly modified version of the same problem to the next. The lesson here is not cynicism. It is that systemic change requires understanding the incentive structures, not just the surface-level curriculum debates. Here's the hidden system nobody talks about. The education model is upstream of the wealth gap. When you teach people to follow rules instead of build systems, you produce employees, not employers. And that is not a coincidence. It is the architecture of economic stratification. One common misconception is that getting a degree is the same as getting an education. A credential and an education are two entirely different assets. One signals compliance to a hiring manager, and the other compounds in value every single year of your life, regardless of who is watching. The practical lesson history keeps trying to teach us is that self-directed learners consistently outperform institutionally dependent ones over long time horizons. The people who built generational wealth, studied markets, read obsessively, found mentors, took calculated risks, and treated failure as tuition, none of which requires a bell schedule. The actionable move is not to abandon formal education entirely, but to run a parallel curriculum alongside it. Invest time learning how money moves, how assets are built, how real estate compounds, and how businesses are structured, because that knowledge does not expire and it does not depend on anyone else's syllabus. At its core, the most rebellious and generative thing you can do in a system designed to make you follow instructions is to decide what you are actually building toward. Discipline, consistency, and intentional skill stacking will always outperform raw intelligence alone. The system just never told you that because it was not in the lesson plan. You were handed a model built for someone else's economy, and now it is your job to build the one you actually want to live in. The good news is that the information, the mentors, and the tools to do exactly that have never been more accessible than they are right now. Whether you are ready to start investing in real estate, need a contractor you can trust, or are looking for the right lender to make your first move, check out our links in the description below and let us help you get started.